Hi guys, Miss Ashley here. So today we have a video for the parents. So summer is coming up and I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of some of the materials that I've sent you and kind of some things you can work into what you're already doing at home every day that are really going to help your students' speech and language at home. Not only their receptive language, so what they're understanding, but their expressive, what they're actually able to express as well. So I'm going to share the screen of one of the resources I shared with you. So this is Speak, Play, Love. It is a website by a speech therapist, and one of her pages talks about different ways, different techniques that we use, like self-talk, parallel talk, and expansion. And this is explained specifically for parents. So the first thing that it talks about is self-talk. So self-talk is when you use child-friendly language to narrate what you are doing. So this is what I've talked to a lot of my parents about. A lot of our students are nonverbal, and so we might not exactly be expecting them to give us a verbal response, but giving them examples of what you're doing, examples of the syntax, so how those words go together, examples of the vocabulary that you're using, how to expand those utterances is going to help them, even if they're using an alternative system. And you can still narrate using an alternative system just the same way. So talk about what you're touching, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're smelling. And it sounds really easy, but it is going to feel really like, it's not really going to feel natural. It's going to feel kind of awkward at first. After a while, it'll become very natural, and you'll just do it without even realizing you're doing it. But you have to practice like anything else. So they give the example of lunchtime or bath time, and that's great because what you're wanting to think about is those daily routines that your kids are doing. So like for lunchtime, they're giving them peas, so they're saying, here's the peas. I'm putting the peas on your plate. This plate goes on your tray. It's time to eat. So if you're going to use an alternative system, maybe you're going to use like a core board, you could always say, instead of saying, here's the peas, I'm putting the peas on your plate, you could say like, put on, go in, or ooh, this is different than what we ate yesterday. I'm putting something different on your plate, or things like that to narrate what you're doing. At bath time, they give the example of pour the water, soap on, rinse off, the soap all done. And this is something you can just do while you're doing it. I know it seems weird because it feels like you're just kind of like talking about what you're doing, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be something you're giving them a huge paragraph on everything you're doing. So this talks about lunchtime, bath time. Another routine that you're doing every day is getting dressed. So maybe you're helping them pick out their clothes. So you say, okay, I'm going to open up the closet door. Let's look and see what we have to wear today. I pulled out a striped shirt. Or do we want to wear the stripes or do we want to wear the orange shirt? And you could give them kind of a choice. And if, maybe you're making the choice for them, just pull it out, say, oh, I got the orange shirt out of the drawer, or I took it out. And that's another way to use those core words, like you heard me say open, look, it. Things like that are great ways to work in that core vocabulary with getting dressed as well, but just narrating what you're doing, or even, okay, we put one arm through. Did you catch me? You're narrating what you're doing, not what they're doing. So you're not putting an arm through, they are. So what you could tell them is, I put the shirt over your head. And that's something that's kind of hard to keep in mind. You're not narrating what they're doing. That is not self-talk. Self-talk is yourself. You're talking about what you're doing. So the next one is parallel talk, which is the opposite. You're not talking about what you're doing. You're talking about what your child is doing. So instead of you, talking about them. So this could be basically they're sitting there, maybe they're playing with a car, maybe they're watching a video, anything like that. Basically what you're doing is you're going to do exactly what you did when you're talking about what you're doing, but it's what they're doing. So like they give the example of, oh, you have a car. It's a blue car. Push the car. Vroom, vroom. The car went fast. And a lot of times your kids are going to look up at you like, oh, like when you start talking. So like I have a pool tube here, or a pop tube. A lot of the kids like these because they make fun noises. So this is another example you could use. You could say, oh, you have a tube. It's a red tube. It's a long tube. Or you could say, pull the tube. Pop, 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 pop. Uh-oh, it's all the way out. Let's push it back together. Ooh, it's getting short. The red tube is short again. But you're narrating what they're doing, and you can add those concepts in. So you're adding verbs, pull, push, in, out. You're adding colors, you're adding sizes, you're adding different descriptors. And those are also giving them more exposure to language. So same as self-talk, but you're not talking about yourself, you're talking about your child. You're going to go down here, and then it gives you things to keep in mind. Super important, number one thing, pick activities that are very, very motivating for them. Because if they don't like it, they're not interested in it, they are going to have no interest in that activity. They're going to probably try to get up and walk away from that activity, and then that model won't mean anything. So a lot of our kids, they like bubbles, they like hands-on activities. A lot of them like to do chores. Chores are an excellent way to model. Oh, great job. I love that you got that broom. So they got a broom. Oh, you're sweeping the floor. You're moving the dirt. You're making the floor clean. Or if you're doing the chores, you could say, oh, I'm getting the vacuum out of the closet. I've got to plug it in. Now I'm going to turn it on. And you're just going through those same things. And just pick something that they really like to do. Self-talk is for short bursts of time during the day. Don't self-talk constantly, or it says you're going to sound like a parent from the Muppet Babies. Wah, 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 wah. You don't have to talk all day long. Short bursts here and there, because if you talk all day long, they're probably going to start tuning you out, getting that selective hearing going on. So short bursts. Don't expect them to repeat you. Don't ask them, please say this, say that. Avoid doing that. You are simply modeling the language without any expectation for them. You're just giving them exposure. Use child-friendly, short sentences. Right now, I am folding the pink striped shirt so that you can have clothes to wear tomorrow to daycare. That is a mouthful, and you are going to lose them after the first couple words. So instead it says, try saying, I'm folding clothes. Here's a pink shirt. Things like that. So basically, you need to shorten it. If it's really longer than 4 words, it's probably too long of a sentence, and you probably have too much detail into it. Expansion is the next thing we're looking at. So if they're starting to speak, a lot of students start with one word. So it gives the example of dog. If that's what your child says, then you can say, yes, big dog. And same as if they come up to you and they say, drink, and they're looking at a cup, you could say, yes, drink in cup. Or yes, drink milk. Things like that just expand and give them example of how they could say it. Or maybe they're at 2 words, so they're saying dog, woof. They said that you could say dog says woof. So you're adding like one more word. It's the one-up rule. So if they say car, you could say blue car. You could say fast car. You could say car go. Adding one. You're one-upping their language when you're expanding. So say they come up to you and they say go. And you have your car keys out. Say yes, car go. Giving them one more word. One up. So that's expansion, and that's a really important one. Again, that's something you can do most of the day, but it should be natural. It should be just your response to what they're saying, because that's also teaching them turns in a conversation. They said something, you respond. Make that good eye contact. Give them examples of that as well. That's also really important. Talking to your child at the right level. Try to narrate one small level about above where your child is talking. So if they're not talking yet, narrate 1 to 2 words at a time. If he is saying single words, 2 to 3 words. Again, my one-up rule we just talked about. So it says, when you get a container of peas, show her say peas for lunch. 3 words. One up. If they're talking in short phrases, then you need to narrate in full sentences. You'll want to add information. So, where? I put the fork on the table. When? We'll have ice cream after dinner. Details like color, amounts, how things feel. The ice is so cold. So you're teaching them ways to really like enrich their language and use different types and variety in their sentence. So using nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. You're the one that is showing them how to do that. So this is just a quick little thing about how to do it. I'm going to do a video later this week that goes on about specifically modeling with one activity of kind of going through self-talk. I can't really do parallel talk because I'm the one doing it, but think about maybe if I was the kid doing it, how you would be. Maybe you're trying it. You're watching me self-talk and you're parallel talking. You're saying what I'm doing. Or just switch it. Parallel talk and self-talk are basically the same thing, other than one, you're talking about yourself, whereas the other, you're narrating what someone else is doing. And the last one for expansion, that's just something, maybe I'll give a one-word response to what we're doing in the video, and then I'll give the one-up rule. So I hope this gives you a little bit of information on what I'm sending out to you and what you can be doing all summer long and anything that you're doing. And as always, if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great day, guys. Stay safe.